Hello YouTube, welcome back. Today we're gonna do a video on like the CN reception of Neverness to Everness because today is like my time zone is following like the China version. So today is like 25th and then the game came out on 23rd. So the game has been out for like almost 2 days now on the Chinese server. So we're just gonna check out the reception of the game over at the CN server. So we are mainly looking at two websites, which is TapTap and Bilibili. So Bilibili is basically like their YouTube for the China version, and then TapTap is basically game distribution website, kind of similar to Steam, I guess you could say. And they are on Bilibili, the marks is 7.1 over out of 10, so it's like slightly above average. And on Bilibili, we have two versions. This is the phone version, 8.6, and this is the PC version, 5.6. So that also shows like people really hate people that really dislike the game really hate it. People that likes the game really like it. So that's why you have such a drastic difference like of the same game on the same on one specific website. It's we're gonna look into like why is it so different. We're going to look at some reviews and then some of their content creators' opinion of the game. There are a lot of like extreme opinions. So I'm gonna try my best to like try to find those that is more moderate, that includes like both pros and cons, because I don't really want to like just blindly praise it or just like blindly slander it for no reason. So first we're going to look at the TapTap version. TapTap doesn't really have a video, but it has a lot of like long reviews. So we're just going to look at like these three particular players because I feel like they concluded the situation of Neverness to Everness quite succinctly. They all basically talk about they don't really like the character models of the game because they say that the character looks quite ugly according to what they say, because the character models for even for the 5-star looks rather pedestrian, except for Min. They say like because Min is kind of like the face of the game, so, but all the other characters that like looks rather flat. And then the game, even though it's called it's like touted as the gacha anime version of Grand Theft Auto, it doesn't really feel like as free as Grand Theft Auto because you can't really do anything, because you cannot really run up walls. You can only climb up it unless you have like a specific characters. And so you often get stuck like on top of like different corners of the map. So the map feel restricted in that way. And then the map feels a bit empty according to what they say, because most of the buildings you cannot enter. And then all the NPCs look copy and pasted, and they look rather lifeless. And then there's a lot of bugs in the game. Like for example, this player experienced 3 bugs yesterday. He got kicked out of the game 3 times. So and then the monetization is pretty much the same. They have the battle pass, like monthly card, everything is the same. So doesn't really change like the formula. And I feel like that is like the biggest issue people have with Neverness to Everness on the CN server. It has a very interesting foundation, as in the open world city supernatural like concept is very unique to this era. But instead of focusing on that, the game has pretty much assimilated and pick up like all the other similar gacha games. So it feels way too similar to others that even if you just don't play this, it doesn't really matter because you're not missing out on much, because it's like the same thing over again. So it's the this guy here concludes that quite well. It has like the ability to surpass or like find a niche for itself, but it has now like gotten back into like copying other similar games like Genshin and Wuthering Waves and Jalen Zone Zero. Yeah, this player praises like the modeling of the world. Hetero is like very amazing. The weather changes and the set designs are very unique. But then the focus of the game has gone into mimicking the play style of other matured gacha open world game has in not its own like specialty, which is the supernatural urban play style, because it talks about like the concept of city life system and the supernatural plot, but it doesn't really focus on that because like all the city life stuff like fishing and owning your own place, the driving and all those things only feel like very surface level, because like everything, they didn't really go too in depth into that, and then everything else just feels like a copy of Genshin and Wuthering Waves, even the combat and all those thingy. Yeah, so that's why, because the equipment system, the character leveling up system, the dailies, the weeklies, the character leveling system, like all those things are very similar to what's happening in Genshin and Honkai and Wuthering Waves and everything else. So I feel like this player is rather more, it's rather clear about that. He praises the like Neverness to Everness for its like uniqueness, but he feels like the developer doesn't really focus on that uniqueness, but trying to get a passable grade by copying all the other mature gacha action adventure game that is already out there. So that's, he feels like it's a waste in that sense. Yeah, and I think I do agree with that. I also hope that the developer will like stop focusing on like copying like already known methods and the classics, but try to hone in on like what makes Neverness to Everness special. Yeah, that's what basically what's people are saying on TapTap. So it's the marks is, I feel like 7.1 is rather fair. So it's like, it's very similar to what we currently have on the market with Genshin and Wuthering Waves. It has the foundation there, but instead of focusing on the foundation, I think it's only fair because I think the developer, not the developer, but the publisher, the one who is after money, doesn't really care about like creating something new. They want something that works because that will bring in the money. So yeah, I feel like this is the case of the developer's vision being held back by the publisher's need for money, which is understandable. So hopefully we can like get more into the focus more on the uniqueness of the game and like invest more into that side. But that's what people are saying on TapTap. And now on Bilibili, as I mentioned earlier, on the phone version is 8.6, quite high, and then the PC version is 5.6. And as for why we can, I've looked through a few things, a few YouTubes that, not YouTube, a few videos that talk about that, especially like this person. This person has stopped playing the game.
实在玩不下去了。这个是打10级 BOSS 的时候。
Yeah, basically he talks about how like the main character, the character combat is very similar to what's happening in Genshin and Wuthering Waves. You are basically like pressing the same button again and again, and then just dodge and do all those thingy. And then it's very similar to like what you are doing in every other game. And that's whether you like that kind of combat system. It is, I feel like that's very similar, reflects what the other person was saying. The foundation is there, but they have to stop like copying what works from other games and like make something unique for Neverness to Everness. And then he's talking about how difficult it is to like control the vehicle in the game, as you can see here. Some other people have already mentioned that as well. The driving in the game is really not that great, and the game's objective and mission and side quests request you to kind of like go to different parts of the map. So because there are limited amounts of teleportation point, which I think the game encourages you to like go to those places to showcase its driving system. But the thing is, a lot of people are complaining that the driving system is not that great. The vehicles are not that good to control. And then this is about the mission. A lot of mission objectives are not really clearly marked out. So in this case, he's like want to do one of the mission, and he doesn't really know where's the objective. So he's just walking up and down, So yeah.
反正每个 boss 都很弱。
And every boss is kind of like takes forever to kill.
在那输在那里。
I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
boss 游戏还行，太无聊了。
And then he's talking about the combat system is very repetitive and similar.
要磨练，玩起来。
So that's one of the content creator. And then this particular creator focus on other things. This is talking about the graphic. This is like 4K and DRSS. I'm gonna put it on like full page. He's saying that the graphic doesn't really look that amazing, especially like the chair and then the strip light and then the things in the background is very blurry. I personally, because this is supposed to be 4K, I personally doesn't really mind any of this because I don't really have a top level PC, and so I don't really care about the graphic fidelity and like how clear the pixel is in 4K. But apparently it's not the greatest on 4K, but if you care about that, that might be an issue. But personally for me, I don't really care about the graphic stuff. And then he's again talking about the combat system being quite boring and similar to the other games. And then the story is, according to him, the story is very boring and very typical. And it's like throws in a lot of like unknown terms, but I feel like that's like very similar to the gacha story. And then this is another big issue that people have, which is it's extremely difficult to gain currency in this game. This is like the city leveling system. There's like 45 system. He's only at like level 5 and he has played for like... by the way to level up your system is like collecting how much money, which is here is 327,000 fonts, which is the currency in game. You have to collect that much money to go to the next level. And in this game, it's very, very difficult to collect fonts. So this is a lot of like farming involved. Yeah, even the currency only give you like 10,000 and 15,000, and you need like 300 something thousand to increase your level. So they are saying that it's very, very difficult to raise your city development level. And that's, I think it's a valid complaint as well, because that not everyone likes to like farm those kind of money and stuff. And this is talking about the vehicular system, about doesn't really need to, about the vehicle system like rather difficult to control, which is, I mean, that is really up to the person, but that you have to really try it yourself. I haven't tried it, so I really do not know, but there's a lot of complaint about the difficulty of like driving like the vehicles. And then I feel like this person,
很多文案都是高度相似仿出来的，这好吗？首先，在你进入游戏后，你能感觉到一环的动画演出是非常具有张力、非常具有个人游戏特色的。CG 动画有很多的视觉奇观，让你在游玩时不禁发出 wow 的感叹，而且有时候穿插着一些梗，让人会突兀。但不得，并没有那种意象和都市。
Yeah, he's talking about the animation of like doing dialogues and so on is very amazing, but the characters themselves is a bit flat. Talking about the modeling as well.
感觉像是没有设计好，部分
because the dialogue looks like you're watching an anime, which is like very
角色有一种
impressive.
NPC 的即视感，也就是说没有自己的特记住了。过了10分钟
And
后，
yeah, some of the playable character lacks something unique that makes them stand out apart from the NPC.
他叫谁来
Which I
着？不过塔吉多我
kind
倒
of
是印象挺
agree.
深，一方面是设计提出提上去，游戏可以解锁各式各样的玩法，但都是带入了一个普通人的视角。目前的各位做到位了，为什么大家跑车？目前的防过程更需要一处可以用点找个人锁，但所以传送点吧，毕竟 平均要有水平，特效给的挺足，打击感也是及格的。关起来
Yeah, and then like I feel like this person is more moderate in his reviews. The story is fine, it's passable, and then the combat is passable because it's like it has copied from the best of the other gachas already on the market, so it is definitely passable. Then the
剧情
set
的玩家
designs,
多少会
everything
浪费
is
点时间。
fine.
之后8折给个自选 S， 虽说其他地方
As for the monetization, is the same, so it doesn't really talk much about that. And then this particular creator, I feel like has been rather
之前呢，我想一
rather
直玩到
factual
现在，
about
第一
his
名80多个小
delivery
时
of，
当然
things.
还有一些这个零零碎碎的单机网游，我就不说了。那么根据以上我游玩的经验和喜好，我对开放世界游戏怎么好玩有一点自己的理解。那么如果是还行，这个时候呢，我们转到背面，还有点小卡顿。来，我们来看一下，这个是一环女主角的背面。
He's talking about the character design. As for the here, he's talking about the main female character.
也就是我们日常操控的短发和正常的，但是因为它这个头发连接了这个领，说是见仁见智。但是这个夺命大纽扣，有一种到后这是限定 S 级，
And this is the limited S.
这
Nanali
是他的性格非常讨喜，他
Yeah, he's saying that the personality of Nanali is amazing, but her modeling isn't that great because the design about her, nothing really stands out, which I kind of agree as well. It's very like the girl you see by the street.
人物塑造的非常，你这手臂要这么展开来，小
And
男
then
孩
this
在讲
this wolf dude
设计
here,
的怎么样？这个男
most of the male character doesn't really look that interesting. Also, this guy here, this is already in game. From the front, he looks like he's deposing, which is kind of true. Then again, like most gacha doesn't really care about male characters anyway. So
比如说这个狼开局就送的还有这个突如其来的这个肩甲，上身这，我想要吐槽的点，看看大家呢，这个时候你能感受到，我在 GTA 里做的事情，我在一环里好像也能做，这就
So he's talking about GTA again.
第二个问题，撞车体验。比如说我开到这里，哎不行，我要开错，我要掉头。我手是按着的啊，我现在手是按着的。
yeah, he's stuck in a traffic jam and he wants to turn around. So currently his hand is on the pedal, the drive button, but the car is literally not
大家有什么问
moving.
题啊？我居然顶不过这个游戏里的 NPC。
Yeah, the car can't move away the
我现在
the
前进
car of the
键一直摁着的
NPC.
兄弟们。
He has been pressing
我
on
居
the
然
like
顶不过
Yeah
这个 NPC 的小车，它也不是什么大车啊，它是个体型看起来要比我小的车吧，或者说跟我体型差不多的车吧。我为什么顶不过它呢 ？OK， 我顶不。
as the main character, like in an open world, you should feel that you should be able to like have a certain degree of freedom, but somehow you still can't like drive down a certain way because an NPC's car is in the way.
我只能倒车。好，这时候，然后
Yeah, and
我
then
侧
you're
面去顶呢，
he's trying to drive the other way, and then he's got stuck in the
也顶不过。
in the
大家能理解
car
我这种
from the other
感受
lane.
就是我玩一个游戏，这个我想在这个城市里开车、飞车。
Yeah, when you play like a game like GTA, just want to like drive speed through the city, but everywhere you go, you're kind of like getting bumped into like stops created by the game, probably unintentionally, and that kind of like limits the freedoms of the game.
不管骑电动车还是开，
Also, another issue is I think this might be fixed in the future. I don't know about this, not sure, but because so far in the CN version, whenever you go into a car, you have to use the main character. It will automatically change into your main character. It doesn't care which character you're currently using. It will automatically swap to your main character.
开车只能主角开。唉，你只能主角开车也就算了，你下车了还要等那么的角色进场，它是这样的，您的主线对不对？它让你等待3分钟，你比如说提取完这个收益之后，要3分钟之后才能提取，它实际上就想让你去做别的支线嘛。反正我当时呢就再告诉你了，兄弟，哎。为什么要这么设计啊？为什么让你等3分钟啊？是因为要让你想完成这个磁带盘它的这个剩遗物，类似于这个游。
Oh, and he's talking about the character stuff.
然后一排它都给你了，找。我在别的游戏都打过的工，我再去打一遍，然后打到那个等级，
Yeah, he's complaining about the what we have talked about before, which is this game has copied basically everything that is the same from Genshin and Ruwa. So now this is kind of like people are getting fatigue, I guess, from gacha game as well. So now whenever you try to level up character, you have to go farm the artifacts, farm the materials, gather flowers and all those things, go and do all those things back again. Can we say it's the fault of Neverness to Everness? Can't really, because they're just trying to copy like what's best on the market. But it's also their fault in the sense that they could have done something different. But the thing is that if you already played other like gacha games, you really have to do all those things starting over again for a new game for their new characters. And yeah, I can understand the complaint about that, about the fatigue of doing that.
才能继续下去。没有，怎么了？就突然到这个不用按 F 键就碰。对于我来说，这个剧情它哪怕再成熟一点，我就觉得也是很幼稚的。就你可以是可。
Oh yeah, and he's talking about the plot so far feels very juvenile. Doesn't have any depth to it. I don't know whether that's true because I haven't played the game myself. It says that the game can be cute, but it cannot be like surface level, which is like kind of like people's complaint about the game so far.
爱的，但你不可以是塔基多，你塔你妈呢塔！你真我说到这个水塔，我就真。
Oh, so yeah, he's calling me about one particular character that people really hates in this game. The beaver, the otter beaver like robot mascot character. They are trying to make him cute into like probably another Paimon of the game. But yeah, people's reception of him is like very similar to people's reception of Paimon. People are just getting tired of like that kind of like yapping mascot character. So yeah.
这红温呐，就挺让人，我一定要看吗？还是那句老游戏开一个传送点不行吗？你说这边，你怎么不换出来呢？他还要用你的冷却时间，一定有没有传送点？
So there's a lot of like QOL stuff, quality of life stuff. For example, he wanted to do his mission is
附近你看传送到一个就是大概一个打材料的本，我再跑过去。
his mission is here. His mission is here, but there's basically no teleport teleport station around it. The closest is here, which is the one you go to like collect character materials to level up. So when he teleports there,
在车道里啊，在街道里还不能召唤。
Yeah, so to get to that location, you have to either run there, but mostly the game will encourage you to use car. But then to summon your vehicle, you cannot summon it inside like alley.
然后呢，召不换出来呢，它还要用你的冷却时间，一定要跑出去。
And when you fail to summon something, the car will go into cooldowns. The summon car button will go into cooldown for like 5 seconds. Don't know why.
跑出去。
Then you have to walk to like the main street to summon a vehicle.
我车呢？来，86米。
Instead of like the game has already tell you to come out of the alley to the main street instead of like summoning the car here. The game summoned the car, which is like almost 86 meters away.
在哪里呢？啊，大家可以看到我是在这里召唤的啊。
Yeah, he summoned it here, but the car is right over there.
在那边，啊，在那边。你怎么不再远一点呢？
Yeah, at that distance, you might as well just like just walk over to your mission objective because that's almost 100 meters away.
奶奶的车在89米外，我这个说这个血流麻将都是用心了。那这个麻将打完之后呢，会给你一点这个游戏。你告诉我这些奖励哪个？这就是我今天要出。
Yeah, I feel like this creator and the previous commenter from TapTap, I feel like has the most opinion that I agree with. Neverness sinks into the issue of like they're trying to copy like the mature game style of like other games, successful other games like Wuthering Wave and Genshin, that they have lost like their uniqueness of Neverness to Everness. And it has the great foundation. The foundation is there, so let's hope that the developer will be able to hone in on what makes Neverness to Everness unique. Also, like what I said, this is what the Chinese server thinks of the game so far. Whether do you agree or disagree with them? I guess, are you excited for the global launch? Please remember to write all your comments in the comments below. And I'll see you during launch. I'll probably do more videos on this, and most likely I'll be doing guides on how to unlock specific things and like check on the Chinese server again to see like how the Chinese players are reacting to the game. And yeah, goodbye everyone. Take care of yourself.